Hello, this is Mrs. Finley again, and I'm here to talk to you about reading strategies once again. As we have seen this list before, last time we talked about activating background knowledge, and we finished working on that, and we also talked about making connections. Today we're going to move on to asking questions and drawing inferences and making predictions. Like I said last time, that means that we're interacting with, to ask questions means we're interacting with the text. We're having a conversation, we're asking questions for all different reasons. And for drawing inferences and making predictions, we know what predict means, which means to tell the future, and drawing inferences is to make conclusions that don't necessarily involve the future. So, we're going to talk about asking questions first. This is really a way to interact with the text. We really want to, the more you interact with the text, the more you remember it. In the same way, if you're watching a TV show and you talk to your friend about it, or you pause it and tweet about it, or you're watching it with someone while you're talking to them about it, you're going to remember that episode of the TV show much better. In the same way, if you participate and interact with a text more, you will certainly remember it more. In order to do that, you want to ask questions that will be answered in your reading, so maybe it'll be answered in your reading later, that you can ask about it in a class discussion, because like I said, these are reading strategies that you want to use in all of your classroom reading. Or if it's a question that you don't have an answer to and you didn't get an answer in class discussion, maybe you want to research it a little bit and find out the answer. Now remember, not all questions need to have answers. Sometimes we're just considering questions and being thoughtful about them. Like, what's the meaning of life? There's no necessary answer to that, but it's interesting to discuss and consider after we're reading something that may have us ask those similar questions. The next thing we're going to talk about is drawing inferences and making predictions. Okay? Let's define both of those words so we all know what we're talking about. First of all, we're going to talk about predicting. Using what, oh, and here's a typo I have. This should say have. Using what you have read to guess what will happen in the future. And we do that when we watch movies, when we watch TV shows, when we read something. We're always trying to figure out what's going to happen next. It's important not that we don't just guess without using the logic and the stuff that we've read in the past. If we're reading Cinderella's story, we can't at some point predict that a lion is going to come out of the jungle and eat Cinderella, because that doesn't have anything to do with what we've read so far. So we always want to make sure that we use what we have read, using what you have read to guess what will happen in the future. To infer is to use what you've read to draw a conclusion about other elements from the text, not the future. Maybe we're drawing conclusions about the characters. Maybe we're drawing conclusions about the writer. Maybe we're drawing conclusions about the theme. Whatever it is, we're just going to make conclusions or draw conclusions based on what we've read. Again, if we're reading a story, as we will as you have about online profiles, we can't decide that the answer to the online profile question of how to manage this is that a unicorn comes out and saves the day. We have to make sure that we use what we've read to logically draw conclusions. So, like I've said, you want to predict what will happen, especially when reading a novel or in a story, to actively participate in the reading. The more you participate, the more you consider and think about and talk about what's going to happen, the more you will remember what you've read. And you want to draw inferences based on what you have read. You end up coming up with more questions or connections like we did from the last one as you sort of make more inferences. If you can infer or conclude something, maybe it will make you have another connection or another question. So what I'm going to show you today is how to ask questions, draw conclusions, or make inferences, and make predictions while you're reading. And we're going to read an article, it's a debate article, all about whether or not the paparazzi have too much freedom. So the title here says, and I want to make sure that we're looking at this from all the steps, because we don't want to forget that we have two other reading strategies that we looked at before. One was making connections, and one was recalling prior knowledge. So I already have made a connection with this. I certainly know what the paparazzi are, okay? And I know that they are everywhere. I mean, look at this picture here with Rihanna, with all these photographers taking her picture. Her hand being up shows that she's not really interested. So I know that the paparazzi is everywhere. I also know that I like a lot of the pictures that I get from the paparazzi because I like to see them on TV or in the magazines myself. And then I also can activate my background knowledge while I think of my personal connections. I've seen these people. I know that bad things have happened with paparazzi. I know that Princess Diana died because of paparazzi. And I know that some people have gotten in fights even with the paparazzi. Stars have done so. So I know that the paparazzi can be a little bit frustrating for people. I also know that I enjoy some of the things that the paparazzi provides me. So let's read this. Do the paparazzi have too much freedom? Celebrity photographers go to great lengths to get shots of the biggest stars. Some think they go too far. So someone's going to say yes and explain their point, and someone's going to say no. This is almost like a thesis statement, right? Yes, celebrity photographers have too much freedom, and then they're going to explain why, or no, celebrity photographers don't have enough freedom, or don't have too much freedom, and then they're going to explain why. Okay, so the yes side says, I'm reading right here, I used to like looking at photos of famous people, and my personal connection is I do too, okay? But then I became a celebrity bodyguard, and I got to see how the paparazzi really worked. Interesting, celebrity bodyguard. Rules rarely matter. It's all about money. The dream of getting the next big shot, and some will do anything to get it. So this must be the dream of the paparazzi, to get the next big shot, and that's why they sometimes break rules, because he even said rules rarely matter. Most people don't understand is that the paparazzi basically stalk, and this, I wonder what stalk means, and I'm going to tell you that stalk means to sort of follow around very closely at all times. Stalking is generally not a good thing, and it's illegal. So paparazzi basically stalk the biggest stars to get their photos. Some sit in cars at the end of a celebrity's driveway 24/7 waiting for them to leave, and then follow them to photograph their every move. Now I'm going to infer that this is a lot of work, okay? Holy cow. Just to do that. So it must be worth their money and time to do that. Just in case something happens that makes the photo worth a lot of money. So here we go with the money right there. Okay. Maybe the star they're following is going to see a new boyfriend no one knows about yet. And if they can get a photo of a celebrity kissing the new boyfriend, that's big. Big money. Maybe $1 million big. That's a lot of money. Then there are the car chases. Wow, car chases. So this is getting worse, right? This is getting crazy. And I know that the car chases is sort of like what they did with Princess Diana, which was pretty crazy that she lost her life during a car chase. Then there are the car chases. Sometimes 5 cars of paparazzi will chase after a celebrity. And to make sure they don't lose their target, they'll often speed, run stop signs and traffic lights, and even drive on the wrong side of the road. That is very dangerous. This is totally crossing a line of being dangerous. That is crazy. Okay? This reckless driving is dangerous and potentially deadly for everyone near them. In January, a photographer who had been chasing Justin Bieber, I know him, his white Ferrari on a Los Angeles highway was hit by a car accident and killed. Holy cow, that's not good. Princess Diana was killed in 1997 after her driver crashed at high speed trying to elude paparazzi in Paris. So it seems like the stars are trying to get away from the paparazzi, but they can't. But also I wonder, you know, don't the paparazzi sort of help the celebrities out? Don't they get them more famous? So my question would be, do the paparazzi help celebrities too? Question mark. Okay. So overall, I have a couple questions. I wonder when a photographer or a paparazzi starts being hurtful towards a celebrity, because for a while they probably make them pretty famous. And I'm surprised that it's this big of a problem, but it must be just so worth the money. And I also wonder if the photographers or the paparazzi fight each other to get the photographs that they're trying to get, instead of just fighting with the celebrities. And it seems like overall there really is some danger to all of this. Like, celebrities actually might be in danger. So based on what I've shown you, I want you to take a look at the no side. I want you to read the no side and kind of work through this and practice what it feels like to make inferences, to make predictions, and to ask questions overall. And we can talk about some of the questions when we're all done as a group and discuss them. You have this piece of paper available to you, so I want you to take it out and work on the no side. Please try to make annotations, which really just means make the scribblies and the notes and the arrows and the questions on the page so that you can kind of track your thoughts. Finally, now it's your turn. I want you to grab your online profile article that we worked on last class. And we're not going to have to reread a whole new article. We're just going to work on that same article again. And on a separate sheet of paper, I want you to answer the following questions. I want to know, what questions do you have based on the online profile article? What do you predict will happen about the way online profiles are kept or created, or any other predictions that you have? And what inferences you were able to make while you read the online profile. Once you're finished, just bring it to me.